Hi, I'm Mike McGrath, President of Preservation Delaware, and I hope you can spare me a couple of minutes so that I can share some excitement about our upcoming annual conferences and annual meeting for Preservation Delaware occurring on October 21st through the 23rd. Let me share a couple of the interesting details that I think will whet your appetite for our annual conference and meeting. Let me just say that at the end of this video, I'll share with you some ways that you can assist us by renewing your membership, starting a new membership if you're already not a member, and perhaps giving a membership as a gift. I'll talk about that later. This is the way that we keep these conferences free and open to the public. So let me start by saying that on October 21st, that's a Thursday, we'll open with an update from the State Historic Preservation Office. Yes, Tim Slavin, our state's leader for historic preservation, will have some exciting details to share with everyone about new projects and initiatives coming out of the Division of Historic and Cultural Affairs. Also on that first day, there's going to be a set of presentations that I'm particularly excited about called Unique Cultural Resources. I'm always interested in kind of unique and different things that illuminate our history and those resources. One will be New Jersey's brick sewer infrastructure as a historic resource. Wow, I mean, isn't that unusual? Sewers apparently can tell us a lot about history and illuminate a part of our history that perhaps has been underground for a while. Also on that day, we're going to have one titled History of the Peach in Delaware. Now that's really interesting to me because I spent my life in agriculture. And you know, our state flower is the peach blossom. So I'm really excited to learn more about the history of the peach in Delaware. We were at one time one of the world's leading exporters of peaches. Come and hear about that. And then we're also going to hear about the Robert Mitchell House and Independence Mall. Independence Mall. You know Independence Mall, the shopping center in northern Newcastle County. Yeah, we're going to hear about that, and that I think is going to be real interesting. We might not think of a place like that as a historic resource, but I think the presentation from CHAD, the Center for Historic Architecture and Design at the University of Delaware, will whet your appetite for this kind of historic resources. Also, a second category on that first day of conference meetings, I'm particularly interested in supporting. Preservation Delaware has been, during this past year, pressing forward our commitment to diversity and inclusivity in historic preservation. And we've already confirmed an important presentation on the National Underground Railroad, Network to Freedom. You don't want to miss that one. These are important parts of our history that need new emphasis today. And we're also going to be hearing about a project that has really made some headlines here lately, and that's the New Calvary Baptist Church history. You're going to be especially interested, I think, in hearing about that. On the second day of our conference, we're going to focus on current efforts in preservation, Delaware's historic sites. And we're going to be talking about, we're going to have a presentation about the Newark Union Church and Cemetery, polishing a historic gem. That's been something that's been out front here lately too, as a lot of work is being done on that wonderful old building. And then we're going to hear one from a project that I'm particularly interested in. Preservation Delaware has been supporting the work of the Brown Mansion Task Force in Wilmington, efforts to save the National Register property there, the John Brown Mansion, of which the Browntown neighborhood is named for Dr. Brown. We're going to hear from Vince Watchorn, who's been assisting in leading that task force. Now, also that day, we're going to hear some maybe a little more technical presentations that we're calling Beyond Section 106. In other words, the federal program that recognizes historic preservation with federal projects. But we're looking at something like the local aspects of this that go beyond Section 106. And one of the things we've confirmed is a program entitled Local Legends, the importance of preserving the heritage and historic district of Camden, Delaware. I worked in Camden for many years for the Delaware Department of Agriculture, and I found that the village of Camden is really an interesting place. So I'm looking forward to that presentation. And then if I can toot my own horn for just a minute, I'm going to be making a presentation looking at how the model and lessons of farmland preservation might inform a future program to protect historic resources. For 28 years in the Delaware Department of Agriculture, I led Delaware's farmland preservation program, and I think the successes we enjoyed there can be replicated, perhaps pretty closely, in helping to preserve historic resources and assist owners of those resources in accomplishing their preservation. I'm anxious to give you some ideas on that project. And we'll also hear from our Historic Preservation County Council person, Dee Durham, as she gives us an update on Newcastle County's efforts at new ordinances and future projects. We're going to continue on that day with a theme that we've already covered previously in some of our free web conferences, and that's historic preservation and disaster planning. One program that we're offering is titled Making Historic Downtowns Resilient and Disaster Ready. What could be more current than that? I think all of us are reeling from the climate disasters that have been striking the United States here just in recent months and heightening our awareness about climate change and the impacts to all aspects of our life, and especially historic resources that are often at risk. And then we're also going to add to that another session on addressing water level rise, which here in Delaware, we're on average the lowest lying of the 50 states. Yes, we are. We're subject to this water level rise that's coming in the future with global warming and the rise in the ocean levels, and we're going to be exploring that more. And then on the 23rd, of course, in the afternoon, we'll have our annual meeting. More about that in a minute. But we're going to be featuring a report on the Dupont Schools Oral History Project. That project has been led by project director Abdullah Muhammad. Dr. Muhammad, a member of our PDI board, has finalized a wonderful project report, and we'll be sharing that with some actual renditions of the oral histories. You'll hear little snippets of audio and perhaps video, and also some of the school memorabilia from the Dupont Colored Schools history, a history that we're trying to illuminate and bring to life literally with the voices from the past. So those are some of the interesting web conferences that are going to be featured in October this year. And then I'd like to close by letting you know that our annual meeting, which takes place on October 23rd, that's Saturday, I invite you and your friends that may be interested in historic preservation to come and participate. There will be news about new board members, new officers, there will be elections, and there, of course, there'll be sort of summaries of our finances, our activities and accomplishments over the past year. I'm excited about the web conferences and about our annual meeting, and I hope you're getting excited about them too. How do we keep all this free? How do we pursue things like the protection of the Brown Mansion or the oral histories of the Dupont Colored Schools, or giving voice to various community groups looking to protect historic resources in their communities? Well, we do this through Preservation Delaware, and it takes money to accomplish those things. Your support is needed financially, of course, but I think even more importantly, we need your name and voice to be added to those in Delaware who support historic preservation and will press public officials, corporate leadership, and others in our state to protect these resources, which are so much of our past, and our past which informs our future. So please join us by considering renewal of your membership if you're already a member before December 31st, but also perhaps if you're not a member, consider joining us at one of the membership levels. If you're already a member and you're rejoining, perhaps consider rejoining at a higher membership level. But most importantly, I ask you to reach out to your friends and colleagues, your associates, loved ones in your family, and if they would be willing, ask them to join Preservation Delaware as a member to support our efforts. And I'll give you one last idea that I like particularly. Do you have a student in your life somewhere, perhaps a relative, a friend, nephew or niece, grandchild? If that student might be needing a little nudge into interest in history and historic preservation, why not give a student membership to PDI as a gift? And for your adult friends and loved ones and relatives that you're wondering, what can I possibly give them for a birthday or for Christmas or for other holiday where a gift is appropriate? Why not give them a membership to Preservation Delaware? I think they'd enjoy hearing from our newsletters and seeing the activities that their membership is supported, and who knows, they may continue to support us in the future. Well, thanks again. I'm Mike McGrath, president of Preservation Delaware, and I'm glad you spared this few minutes to hear about our web conferences and our annual meeting. And please check out the links in this newsletter if you want to support and continue the support or share the support of Preservation Delaware. Again, thanks a lot.